Reading between the dev portal's lines. Many of Amico's 10 commandments are referenced repeatedly throughout the portal, but one is not, the Intellivision quality control scale. After combing through the archive dev portal, I only found one subjective clarification, that the scale touches on all three tenets of sensible, simple, and fun. One rule, buried in the dev portal, mandates no less than 30 FPS refreshes in terms of visual performance, which hopefully means the stuttering frame rates in some Amico preview videos will be remedied by the time those games launch. To be fair, some revealed games appear to run at 60 FPS, but we haven't seen whether that performance will translate to final Amico hardware. Advertisement. Reading between the lines, we can surmise some of what the console will or won't contain on a system level. Amico will not include a system-wide achievement or trophy system. Instead, Intellivision's portal suggests games offer organic nudges and feedback when players do something successful. The documentation often recommends that games lean on the multicolored light bulbs built into both the physical Amico console and each controller. One of the sections talks at length about Amico's previously announced plans for online leaderboards, which will include refinement by region and emailed notifications to highest scoring players after a season concludes. However, the development guidelines don't clarify exactly how to build a leaderboard system within a game or how to connect it to Amico's services for the sake of tracking player stats over a span of weeks or months. Additionally, online leaderboard support doesn't appear in any of this portal's lists of Amico game requirements. Worse, the profit margins for third-party devs on Amico might not be great. Online multiplayer gaming is not mentioned anywhere in the portal, while one huge development consideration is missing from the above image, a strict attitude about downloadable updates and patches. Intellivision warns its devs that patches should be a very rare occurrence, a great exception, and not be counted on as a way to extend development time or postpone needed improvements to your game. The same section recommends that game makers limit the size and scope of your game to what you can test completely. As seen in the above image, Intellivision caps Amico game prices at $10, and there's no DLC workaround, no upselling of downloadable content and no in-app purchases, the guidelines declare. Intellivision also insists that any game sold for Amico should be a complete, high-quality game with hours of fun. My admittedly subjective response to this restriction is a bit ambivalent. I hate predatory add-on content like loot boxes, and I appreciate one-and-done game purchases. But I also recognize that $10 as a maximum game price, within an unproven, brand-new digital marketplace, inherently limits the scope of how much a game company can expect to earn from even a highly successful game and, in turn, how much they can afford to devote to development. A lockdown on patch support also means online multiplayer in Amico games would be inherently difficult to support, since online modes tend to expose issues like character balance and cheat exploits. Worse, the profit margins for third-party devs on Amico might not be great. In a video shared with Ars Technica that Tallarico filmed as a pitch to angel investors in March 2021, he estimated that Intellivision takes around 50% of third-party game sales revenue, well above the 30% cut that has proven controversial for the likes of Apple. When will we really see the Amico difference? In our preferred Amico universe, we wouldn't have to pick through specs, because we'd either have tangible games to test or ample footage of real-time gameplay. But with less than 4 months from the console's latest announced launch date of October 10, 2021, we're still waiting to see the Amico difference in action and in person. The most wide-ranging Amico direct feed gameplay presentation yet, from late 2020, includes both fully exclusive Amico games and content lifted from either free web portals or existing Android games. This footage does not include clear signs of Amico controller interactions, and it's unclear whether final Amico hardware will offer similarly smooth performance for many of these titles. Publicly, Intellivision has advertised remakes of 80s games, although that selection leans more into Atari's arcade and console heyday with the likes of Pong, Missile Command, Breakout, and Moon Patrol. That approach makes a certain sense, since Mattel's original Intellivision sported a few Atari hits. The remakes reveals thus far have ranged from thorough to brief in terms of sizzle reels, while apparent, live, gameplay has been limited to the likes of Evel Knievel, a port of an existing Android game, and we wonder how that'll be changed to fit into Amico's exclusive content policy, and Moon Patrol, the Amico exclusive remake which, as of this March, looked quite rough. Amico's E3 2021 presentation was confusing in part because it leaned on a few games that are already available as free web games, particularly a series of Sesame Street branded edutainment experiences. Other games featured in Amico footage debuted as far back as 2019. But things got weirder just 1 week after E3. On Tuesday, June 22, Intellivision's marketing team reskinned an August 2019 promotional video tied to that year's Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, and relaunched it with identical filmed interviews and near-identical gameplay footage. Eurogamer's Digital Foundry reported on the similarity after receiving a press-specific email from Intellivision, and that prompted a DF viewer to sync the videos and host them side by side. While Tallarico has been bullish about promoting which industry legends are helping get the console off the ground, Intellivision's list of participating game makers mostly consists of brand new or unproven companies. Even its biggest exceptions, including Other Ocean, #Adobe, and Choice Provisions, the Bit Trip series, are firmly in the indie realm. The last we heard about plans for an Amico exclusive sequel to fame's 16-bit series Earthworm Jim came in the form of a brief animation demo reel posted in August 2020. That video includes one character running through a single backdrop, and the project currently has no release date. The last time we went around the crowdfunded console merry-go-round so publicly was 2013 Zuya. That $100 micro console was bullish about access points like free game demo downloads, critically acclaimed indie exclusives, and wholly open Android access. Ouya's openness and price point were highlights, but a lousy packed-in controller, uneven processing performance, and a lack of market buy-in doomed it to a mere 2 years of life. Intellivision, the Wii U failed miserably. The archive dev portal itself includes a quizzical admission about Amico's sales pitch that's tucked into the end of a section suggesting devs should leverage each controller's included touchscreen. Having a touchscreen and physical buttons and input disc has also not been utilized. The Wii U failed miserably. Sick. The input disc, to clarify, is a variation on the standard D-pad that can either be pressed down like a D-pad, albeit without fixed points to guarantee which direction you're pushing, or spun like a disc, which would emulate a rarely seen control method found in arcade classics like Tempest. By directly referencing a Nintendo console, Intellivision invites a painful question: does an input disc truly differentiate Amico enough from something like the Wii U, a console that failed, at least relative to Nintendo's usual output, in spite of its own family-friendly reputation and critically beloved, local multiplayer darlings like Mario Kart 8 and Super Mario 3D World? Advertisement. The console may ultimately have more time to answer that question, as Tallarico recently hinted at yet another hardware delay. When asked by Ars whether Amico's October 10th date was still in the cards, Tallarico replied on Twitter, "We have till the end of July to source the missing and scarce components to manufacture. Same thing every company is going through. We started securing last November. We hope to begin production by July. It is somewhat out of our hands at this time. It's already taken this long to get even this much of a glimpse into Amico's hardware, but the info included in this dev portal only scratches the Amico surface. For starters, questions linger about the team behind the console's creation and production. In one example, Intellivision trumpeted its hiring of original Xbox chief J. Allard as global managing director in May 2020, saying he would take charge of a wide variety of operations that are critical in launching Amico. He left months later and said the role was not a good fit. In response, Tallarico alleged Allard was still involved. The Amico team could also be in regulatory hot water if its timeline and association with J. Allard isn't resolved. A March 2021 video presentation to angel investors via Republic Go, which was recorded after Allard's last public statement about Amico and reviewed by Ars Technica, includes a pledge that the co-founder of Xbox has been making huge contributions to the Amico team. Worth noting, the system was originally scheduled to launch in October 2020, 5 months before that solicitation to investors was filmed, and Tallarico's video didn't disclose that delay to said investors. We look forward to going hands-on with real Amico hardware should that opportunity arise, since we're no strangers to how specs don't necessarily add up to quality and fun in the games industry. In the meantime, if Amico is seriously landing as early as October 10th, it needs to put those intangible fun factor elements out in the wild to some degree, and it needs to do so fast.